Education is the foundation upon which the future of a nation is built. But such a foundation will be fragile when infrastructure and preparation lag behind policy. The House of Representatives has called on the Federal Ministry of Education and the West Africa Examination Council, WAEC, to suspend the implementation of the computer-based test, CBT, for the 2026 Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, citing lack of functional computers, internet facilities, and trained personnel in most schools. The lawmakers emphasized that without adequate facilities, the move to CBT could lead to massive failure among students, particularly in rural areas. The lawmaker representing Echiomuma Federal Constituency of Rivers State, Kelechi Wogu, who sponsored the motion, stressed that past technical glitches and absence of computer literacy among candidates highlights the urgency of postponing the policy until proper infrastructure is in place. We're planning to introduce CBT for, the SSC, but then you visit the rural areas, and when they're even being taught computer knowledge or computer science, they're being taught on black chalkboards. I mean,
they're drawing it.
They are drawing it.
This is a mouse.
This is the mouse.
This is the keyboard.
So how do we move from there, Charles?
Well, but for me, I think the policy or the announcement or the suspension is this is how I feel. Okay. I think it's very unfortunate because we are in this country. We are beset by some of these things about. I always hear we're not right for it. Because when are we going to be right? If you don't bring maybe a system into existence, you won't know how to improve upon it. I give an example. Togo, Republic of Benin, all of them, they went ahead with this mobile telephony, you call GSM. As at that time, we were saying we're not yet ripe. You remember the Senator Mark was saying that telephone is not for the poor and rest of them. But it took the government of Olusegun Obasanjo to say, let's do it. When we started, people were buying GSM line for about 35,000 or something. But if we hadn't started, we wouldn't know where the troubles were, where the challenges were. Until today, it's almost, they're selling SIM for, the SIM that I bought for 18,000 naira. But people, I think it's almost free today. But you see how the glitches were there in the beginning. You saw how expensive, sometimes drop costs, but we were beginning to do it.
We should go ahead to adopt it in 2026?
Okay, let's go to JAM. When JAM introduced the CBT in 2013, it was a pilot. They were saying, okay, as at that time, they gave options. You could either do CBT or you do pencil paper. But after 2 years, they tried it, and then 2015, they now made it compulsory, 100% compulsory, that there will be no more paper, pencil.
So would this have been WAEC's approach, or do they want a full swing?
No, it could not be a full swing. Let's continue. If we can continue from the city centers. When we look at it, then we begin to look at it. These 5 years they are talking about, instead of looking at it, they could say, okay, this year, let's even start from Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, or Kano. Then by 2 years, whatever they have studied, whatever the experiences, let's take it to Benin, and then before we begin to move to the Hinda. By that time, we know that we need to up our game, and all these infrastructures are saying they are not there. Plausible argument if you ask me, but for you to say 5 years you could use to develop the system, you are pushing the TA away to 5 years in future. I think it's very unfortunate.
All right, Kaide, what do you think about this?
Let me say the word unfortunate in a very funny way. It's unfortunate that you're not asking me to react because you're taking all the things I wanted to say. You saw me shaking my head. If the camera was on me, you would have said that you have covered everything. Because that was my first reaction. I am not one of those people who will say it's a nascent democracy, it's a nascent... The people you call...
Nascent over 10 years.
Nascent, they know how to rig election more than the old people. So what I'm saying is I am not caught out for saying 5 years. 5 years will take us back to the bed. 5 years will take us backward. 5 years will make us abandon improving on the system. What is wrong with starting with a hybrid? Express your concern, and probably we need to put it here.
All right.
That the House of... Okay, you want to take a call?
Yes, it's actually a break. We need to take that break, and when we come back, we'll continue that point that Kaide wanted to make about making it hybrid and moving on from there. Stay with us, everyone. This is Journalist Hangout. Thank you for staying with us. We're talking about the proposition by the House of Representatives that WAEC should postpone its plan to implement CBT for the senior secondary certificate examination. Kaide was saying something about it being hybrid and talking about this motion by the House. So
being hybrid is the way to go, so that I don't continue repeating what he has said. I'm 200% in sync with him to say that telling us until, because 2030 will come, they will tell us some states don't have computers, some states don't have this. Make it hybrid. Start the way JAM started. A lot of people had doubts. A lot of naysayers saying that what is JAM up to. Now you can go to bed and say your result will come out in a matter of days or weeks because this is computer. And let it be on record. IT, anything that has to do with technology is the fastest way to curb corruption. In this case, we are dealing with malpractices. We are dealing with some kind of frustrations that people go through. Haven't you heard of people saying they cannot find this particular subject, that their papers are missing in transit? You will not write. You may not get your result until 2 years after, sometimes 1 year after. These are cases, maybe things have changed. It's been long. We left secondary school. But just for record and for better perspective, that the House of Reps had said this, please, parents, wait for federal government to speak. Because this is not law.
The House of Reps is meant to, it's a group of lawmakers.
Yes, they are checkmating, they are doing their oversight function, but this is just for federal government to review what they've said. If federal government can prove them wrong, that, hey, excuse me, we're going ahead with this, we're going to work on this infrastructure, perhaps we'll meet you we'll meet you halfway by making it hybrid. But let it not be said that this has been cancelled. This plan is, as we speak, is meant to take off in 2026, and parents should bear that in mind until federal government reacts to this proposal by the lawmakers, so that people don't think decision has been taken, and therefore people should not plan towards it.
All right, and yes, Charles.
Yes. To add to it is that I think, for instance, if you your intro, the last paragraph of your intro, cited a reason, part of it was why the postponing was for the policy until the policy or the proper infrastructure is put in place. But I ask me, how do you define proper? Proper is a perfect stage. When you say proper, that's the perfect stage. But did you just start this with perfect stage? As I mentioned, GSM everything. Well, did you start with perfect GSM, the telephony we are used to? No. So if you are saying until, how do you put a proper thing in place when you have not tested it? You have not test run it, okay? Cars that we're using today, where they are in their rudimentary stages until they now begin to improve and improve and all. So for me, I think I'm going to repeat myself that the proper infrastructure you're talking about now, let's begin to put the infrastructure in place
from now
until it becomes proper in maybe in 5 years' time.
Then you may now also hear about...
and the proper will always be relative.
Exactly. Again, so just to add to it,
yes. Is it already budgeted for?
Well, I don't, it's not in that report. It's not in that report. So what
that could also be a factor to consider.
Well, if they insist on it, then the budgeting aspect will also come.
For 2026, for instance.
Well, yeah, we could. Then another thing is that, is it possible, it's not likely for, since it's, couldn't WAEC go to JAM to say, can we borrow from you and paste, but to just suit our peculiarity? You can go to JAM and take their paper or their whatever, then you can begin to...
Or their consultant.
Or their consultant. Okay, how did you do it? Let's see how we can paste and then begin to, amend them to suit the peculiar nature of WAEC.
Gentlemen,
but for you to say 5 years from now, for me, say no.
So perhaps another matter we should push forward is the fact that WAEC covers the entire West African region.
No, about actually five.
Five of the
I think five English speaking.
It's beyond Nigeria. This proposition is coming from Nigeria. We know Nigeria is like this.
Yeah, well, the big brother.
The big brother, as it were, in this case. So how are we now expecting the other countries to take cue from the House, or how exactly? What do you think, Kyle?
So I think it's, I'm not so clear about the modus operandi, within the framework of WAEC. But one thing I know is that whatever laws, whatever WAEC is doing is subservient to the laws of the country. Whatever we accept as the minimum standard for you to get into university is also backed by our law here. So I want to believe that for Nigeria, whatever government says counts. It counts a lot. The subnational power cannot impose their laws on us. As much as WAEC is serving more than Nigeria, it doesn't mean that our lawmakers cannot, decide what we should do.
But I think I'm not too sure, but I'm supposing that WAEC, each individual country has a modicum, if not to a high level, a modicum of control over their bodies. That's what I'm supposing.
All right, Charles.
For us to come and say we must do this, then I am supposing that we have a modicum level of control.
All right, Charles. Let's quickly hear from Akwarando, who is reaching us from Lagos. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Let's have your contribution, please.
Yes, a pleasure. I have been listening to what my colleagues there are trying to say.
All right.
I've been listening.
Go ahead.
That's
Hello.
great. Please, yes, I can hear you, Akwarando. Please go ahead.
I've been listening to what my colleagues are trying to say there. The basic thing, actually, is that we're trying to overhaul our system. And we don't have to rush into making mistakes once more. We have made so many mistakes. I mean, I'll give you an example. The language issue where the government is now saying you can teach with your native language up to primary 6, then from JS1 you start using English. Because it's been affecting a lot of these students from especially the north, because you don't understand the question, so how can you answer it? Now the CBT issue, we just rushed into it. We didn't make provisions for the students to learn the computer, and then we didn't spread it. Now, if you disenfranchise somebody from my village, for instance, and then someone from Lagos Central or from Surulere uses CBT, what sort of students are you producing? So 5 years is too much.
All
we
right,
can make
Akwarando.
it 2 years. With it.
All right, Akwarando.
I cannot agree less with him. I disagree with him. When he says that, I hope that's what he said about disenfranchising. And he also mentioned that we shouldn't rush. This is not a matter of rushing, okay? What I am saying here, I'm also reiterating, is that if you don't start it now, we can't get it right to that proper stage they're looking at.
And we are proposing hybrid.
Okay, hybrid.
For instance.
When please permit me.
So who chooses, who decides which they go
It's left for the
No, that's
students.
what I'm saying.
where JAM
As
started.
I said, JAM took 2 years as used 2 years as a pilot. It was introduced in 2013. As at that time, between 20 and 2015, candidate had a choice either to do the CBT or the pencil paper. But after they've done it, they now expect for about 24 months, they put all the things in place, and then 2015, when they saw they've already perfected, in a manner of speaking, what they were doing, they now made it compulsory for it to be 100%. It may not be, what I'm saying is that for 2026, it could be, as I said, Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt. Then they could move to Benin, all this. Before that 5 years, all these things that they are saying would have been put in place. But rather than you have to wait for 5 years before you start putting the infrastructure, that's why I have a problem. Start putting infrastructure and begin to modify, begin to build on it and improve on it for the next 5 years. Before 2030, we have something standing we can begin to improve upon. That's
and
my
I
argument.
suppose there would have to be sincere and intentional
exactly.
attention to putting those infrastructure in place.
Exactly.
If not, because this issue of disenfranchisement, if you look at it another way, you would really consider that there are certain people who those initial glitches would actually affect.
I do know that. But
What we're saying is
Yes.
so that we don't. It's not that you're saying that it's not. That his opinion is not welcome.
Yeah.
We're simply saying that do not give room for us to be lethargic.
All right.
Do not give room for us to remain a backward nation. It is these same people that will say, what a country.
Yeah.
You know, pardon my language, they use all kinds of words that we're not moving fast.
All right.
See, don't mess up with those children in the rural area Some of them are far more intelligent.
And once they get access to these,
they are far more intelligent.
Technology,
Open them up.
When Jam started in 2015, 2018, were people not, were they disenfranchised? No, they said you could continue with the analog system.
right.
But for the next 2 years, and they did it.
let's see how this will be approached. And I think it's good to also mention that this should not be done in isolation. You have the Ministry of Technology or whatever.
Yeah, all of
just
them
work with
together,
all of them
exactly. Not
and
just education, I agree with you.
achieve the results.
Yes, I agree with you.
All right. Well, the next one has to do with education, workers' welfare and all that.